Good evening. We're getting a little bit of a late start here. Thank you for joining us for our regular meeting this evening, this Tuesday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I see some green out there. I wore a green dress for the occasion. At any rate, I will call this meeting to order at 7:39. Again, this Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. And we are convening our meeting in honor of Kelsey Ann Paglotti. I might not be pronouncing that quite right. Born March 1st, 2026, to Recreation Coordinator Lauren and Eric Pagliotti. And then we will, always great to start a meeting with the welcoming of babies to our community. And then we are going to have our invocation. It did say Joel Larson, he was called away at the last minute. And so I called upon our city manager to provide our invocation this evening.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. If you'll join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered today in this City Hall council chambers to discuss business of the city. Father, we're grateful for the beautiful weather we've had. We're grateful for this community which we live in and share. Father, we're grateful for the people here who support and work hard to improve the quality of life for those who live, work, and play in this town. Father, we're very grateful that we can convene business of the city this evening. Please bless us that our minds will be clear, that we will be able to collaborate in the spirit of building community. Father, we pray that thou would watch over those who are serving the community on behalf of the city today, our police officers, our firefighters, our public works employees, and the many who care and work so hard to build this community up. Father, we ask a special blessing to be with those who are mourning the loss of one of our wildlife this evening. Father, there are many who share in disappointment of decisions made. But Father, we pray that we can gather together as community members, perhaps inspire change that we desire to see, and also certainly remember those who may have been injured. Father, we pray that community members will be smart and sharp not to vilify those who have been injured, but also to redirect feelings of anger and frustration and disappointment in the appropriate direction. Father, we're grateful for all that we have. We're grateful for the many blessings we share. We love thee. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much. And Rebecca, please tell Lauren I apologize for butchering her last name. But we are so happy to welcome their new baby on March 1st. But we will proceed now with our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll call upon Councilmember Dr. Tamala Kelly to lead us in the pledge.
Rise and face our nation's flag, right hand over your heart, and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've had up close and personal pledge 3 times tonight, so feeling really good about it. And could we please have roll call?
Yes, Council Members Belton.
Here.
Dr. Kelly. Here. Spicer.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez.
Here.
And Mayor Shevlin.
Here. Okay, we did not have any closed sessions this evening, but we did have 2 very good study sessions this evening, and thank you to staff and everyone who did attend those. So thank you very much for those. And then our presentations and proclamations, we have Kevin McManus is here with our Pet of the Month, and that I didn't have a chance to ask the name. Who do we have with us this evening? Cliffy.
No worries. Yes, I brought Cliffy, and actually a little bit special occasion because Cliffy is currently spending time in a foster home. And so I brought Emily, who's one of his foster moms here, who's been working with Cliffy and knows a lot about him, including how to get him to do tricks. So, Emily.
We'll show the city of Monrovia. Okay, Cliffy, sit.
Aw. Very good.
So Cliffy is obviously a really smart and really good boy. He is living currently with 2 dogs and a cat,
Yeah,
2
a
cats,
cat.
and a cat. So pretty much a plug and play. But Cliffy is, well, along with all of the animals at the shelter right now, eligible for one of I think, in my Irish opinion, the coolest promotions that we do, which is called a pot of gold. So all of the adoption fees from now until Sunday, adopters can pick up a coin, a gold, quote unquote, gold coin out of our pot of gold, and that's the adoption fee. And the adoption fees are reduced from, well, as low as $0, and high, all the way up to $25. So it's a great opportunity to add a lucky pet to your home. One other thing to add before I go, our Wiggle Waggle Walk and Run is next month, and I'll be here, I think, right before it. But just a reminder to get that on your calendars. It's Sunday, April 19th. So if any of you can make it, please do. Hopefully Cliffy will be adopted by then, but we'll have adoptable animals and, of course, all of the other fun things that we always do at the Rose Bowl for the Wiggle Waggle Walk. So come on down.
Thank you, Kevin.
My pleasure.
Okay, PR2 is proclaiming March 29th as Vietnam War Veterans Day. And I'm going to read, yes, I'm having Mr. Spicer as our resident veteran. I'm going to read this proclamation to him or for him. And then we're going to come down and get a little photo op, and I'll let you make a statement as well.
Thank you, Mayor.
Whereas it is an honor to recognize the many veterans who have made countless sacrifices for Monrovia families, and whereas more than 58,000 service members made the ultimate sacrifice during the Vietnam War, thousands more were wounded and 1,600 remain missing in action. And whereas since their return, these veterans have contributed tremendously to their communities, their states, and the nation. And whereas, as citizens of the great city of Monrovia, we must never forget the pain and the suffering that lingers today for the men and women who fought with honor and distinction in the name of freedom and democracy for all. And whereas we can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to those brave men and women who served, were wounded, or died in battle. And whereas Vietnam War Veterans Day presents the opportunity for the people of Monrovia to honor and thank our Vietnam veterans for their service to our country. Now, therefore, I, Becky Shevlin, Mayor of the City of Monrovia, California, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim March 29th as National Vietnam War Veterans Day in Monrovia, and urge the community to show our Vietnam veterans, their families, and all the men and women who have served our country the fullest respect and support of a grateful state and nation. Dated the 17th day of March, 2026.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and members of the Monrovia community. It is an honor to stand before you tonight and accept the Vietnam War commemoration recognition on behalf of the Veteran Resource Center. As this national commemoration comes to an end, I am humbled to represent the men and women whose service during the Vietnam War continues to shape our nation's history and our community sense of duty and resiliency. This recognition is not about me, it's about them. It is about every Vietnam veteran who answered the call, who carried the burdens of service long after returning home, and who too often did so without the welcome or gratitude they deserve. Here in Monrovia, we are committed to ensuring that their stories are honored, their sacrifices are remembered, and their needs never overlooked. I want to thank the Veterans Resource Center team for their dedication to supporting our veterans with compassion, dignity, and respect. Their work reflects the best of Monrovia, a city that believes in service, in the community, and in taking care of one another. To our Vietnam veterans, we honor you, we thank you, and we remain committed to standing beside you. Your courage and perseverance continue to inspire us. Thank you to the City of Monrovia, for recognizing this moment and for your ongoing support of our veterans. It is a privilege to serve this community and to uplift those who have served us well. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll get a photo op.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Okay, then our student government presentation representative report this evening. Unfortunately, Elsie could not be here this evening, so we will not have a report from her. And moving on with our order of business, under RCC 5, my report, I do have an item from the Los Angeles County Sanitation District Prop 218 process overview, and I'd like to invite up right now Andrew Hall, the Financial Management Department Head from the LA County Sanitation District, and he's going to provide a brief overview of the 218, the pending 218 process for the Sanitation District, and I just want to give it just a little bit of background. I was at a recent government affairs meeting with the chamber, and there are at least 4, maybe 5 people there that I brought up the process, and they all had said they did not receive their hearing notice. So I was concerned because the individuals that said they hadn't received them are really plugged in people. So I thought the offer has been made many times at the sanitation meetings to have these little overviews presented to city councils. So Mr. Hall is here this evening to educate us. So Mr. Hall, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mayor Shevlin and members of the City Council. As was mentioned, my name is Andrew Hall. I'm the head of our Financial Management Department at the Sanitation Districts. And today we're going to be talking about proposed service charge rates for our service area. The Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts are actually a confederation of 24 special districts. We service about 5.5 million people here in LA County. Today, what we're talking about is this area here. We call it our joint outfall system, of which Monrovia is a part. There are 17 districts in this service area that participate jointly in a set of sewers and treatment plants to be able to cost effectively treat wastewater in this area. So back on January 23rd, a public notice mailer was sent to all property owners within the service area of this sanitation districts. It looks a little bit like this. You'll notice that there's the notice of public hearing on that notice, as well on the inside. There's additional information about what the sanitation districts do about the rate increase and other things. Your parcel number may be shown there, it may be shown inside. So if you're wondering what your parcel number is, those are where you'd find those. So how is the money spent at the sanitation districts? What is it that we do? So we operate a sanitary sewer system for about half of the residents in LA County, again, 5.5 million people. And this system is essential for public health and safety and maintaining our quality of life to make sure that we don't have to deal with waste issues that happen in some of the developing areas in the world. Our network of pipes and facilities operate 24/7. They require constant maintenance and upkeep. Several of our facilities have been around for over 100 years. We must competitively recruit and attract and retain staff that's well qualified for this work. And we want to make sure that we have a wide range of technical skills given the size and scope of what our services are. And we're also not immune to rising costs, particularly in equipment, materials, chemicals, and parts necessary to maintain these operations, as well as future infrastructure costs to make sure that we protect, maintain, and improve the treatment for the water that we treat. So why do we need rate increases today? Over the last 5 years, our operating costs have increased 20%, whereas our rates only increased 10%. We used reserves during that period and not need to go back to the public and ask for additional rates. The wastewater treatment consumes a lot of electricity. Electricity as well as chemicals are two of our primary drivers for inflation, especially over the last 5 years. We've seen those increase somewhere between 40 and 60% over that period. And we also need additional major upgrades for our 8 operating facilities. Many of them have been in place for about 50 years, which is typically the useful life of those facilities. And we're also planning for additional treatment, too, that will lead to creating a dependable new source of reusable water in the region. It's called the Pure Water Project in coordination with the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California.
Is that the tap the toilet?
There,
I mean,
there are some who use
Toilet
that
to
language.
tap.
Toilet to tap is.
There's another way to say it.
Yeah.
What was that?
There are some who call it that, yes, but
Okay.
it is recycled water and
Okay.
reuse, absolutely. So what would this look like for our area? In our service area, in general, it's less than $3 a month for a typical single-family home. In the city of Monrovia, depending on which sanitation district they're a part of, it'd be somewhere between $2.50 and $2.75 per month. And this would be a 5-year rate increase starting July 1st of 2026. So rather than just come and talk about what we are doing, we want to also compare to other similar areas throughout California. Our rates, including not only our rate that we charge, but also the local sewers that are not part of what we do, but are generally taken care of by the cities or by the county. You add all those together in our service area, it's about $354 per year for a resident. And if you can see where other areas in California, we're significantly below that. And even with these proposed rate increases, we'll be below these rates for at least the next 4 years, while they're also experiencing rate increases during that time. So what are we doing to control costs? First of all, we are doing a lot of work to try to pursue grants and low-interest state and federal loans. Definitely in these challenging political times, it's been challenging to get those funds where we can, but we've continued to pursue those, including specific work with the Department of Energy. We're using long-term debt to spread large capital costs over the period of time that those that are paying for it will be using it. We are doing a lot of studies to try to find the most efficient ways to reduce our energy usage and chemical usage through facility improvements, since they are some significant drivers of our inflation. We do have a single administrative staff that supports all 24 districts, so you're not paying 24 administrative staffs. It's only one staff. We do negotiations for chemical purchases to get those at the lowest cost possible and to be able to spread those benefits throughout our service area. And we also supplement our revenues through sales of recycled water and renewable biogas. One of the things I really want to highlight, and I hope that this is something that's shared with the members of Monrovia, is the low water rebate program. Because of the cost of metering every home, it's really not cost effective to find out what everybody's putting in their sewers. So we make estimates. And sometimes those estimates may be high based on your water use. So if you use less than what our assumptions are, then we have this rebate program where you can get a rebate so you don't pay those continuing high fees. So I encourage everybody to go to lacsd.org, low water rebate. It's a simple form to be able to do for residential property owners. Commercial, there's a little bit more information that's necessary, but again, a really great program to be able to reduce your bill if you're using less water than we assume you are.
And Dylan, I don't remember if that particular slide was included in one of your weekly updates, but we'll make sure that gets out there into the public realm.
Absolutely. So just in summary, our rate increases are necessary to cover the higher cost of our operations and maintenance. We have absorbed those with our reserves, but our reserves are no longer at a point where we can do that. And we do need to continue to repair and replace our aging infrastructure. Again, encourage people to look at the rebates and reduce sewer fees based on your property type and water usage. And there are public comment procedures that are explained in the notice that are sent to residents. We're continuing to do efforts to outreach to residents. We have a lot of information available on our website, including an independent consultant report on a rate study for this service area, and their conclusions, as well as information on the low water rebates and other things that are available online. And we are doing several outreach activities in addition to these city council meetings. Those are shown here. We already had our number 2 virtual meeting, or we have our number 2 virtual meeting coming up this Thursday. We have another virtual meeting on Tuesday, April 21st, and a 4th meeting that's both virtual and in person on April 25th. Encourage people, if they have questions, to participate in those. And then the final in-person public hearing is for both districts 21 and 22, of which Monrovia is a part, will be Wednesday, May 27th at 1:30 p.m. if the residents want to provide their comments there. Any comments that are provided at any point up until that point will be shared with the board so that they can make an informed decision. And if you need more information, I will be here as well for questions, but we do have a phone number, mail, email, and the web to really get information out.
And just very quickly, if someone wanted to vote in this 218 process, and how do they do that?
Yeah, so to be really clear, this is not a voting
Right.
218 process.
It's
This is
a
a protest
protest.
process. So if you would like to protest those rates, we do have a form. If it's easy for you, you can go online to our website and there's a form you can fill out. The majority, what we really need wise is the parcel number that you're protesting for to make sure that you are the owner of that parcel, your information, as well as just the notice that you're protesting. So we do have a simple form to make that really easy, but we'll accept any type of a protest that occurs.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions of Mr. Hall?
No, thanks.
Well, thank you, thank you, that was informative. Okay, then we will go back to our regular order. Then under our consent calendar, which are items CC1 through CC12, and on CC8, what exactly is it that the change is on CC8?
It's no change to the contract or the motion. It's just that we're able to cancel the existing vendor sooner without penalty.
Okay.
And so there's a greater cost savings by implementing the new vendor.
And that's a good thing. Always good to save some money. So with that change noted, the consent calendar, all the items are considered ordinary in nature and can be enacted in one motion. So unless there's something that needs to be pulled or questioned, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve CC1 through CC12 with the noted changes to CC8.
Second.
We have a motion and second, then without any further discussion or objection, so approved. At this point, then, we are going to move to our general public comment for items not on our agenda. And I thank you very much for coming and visiting us here this evening. And this is your opportunity if you would like to address our city council on any item not on the agenda. And so you will be given 3 minutes to make your comments. And do we have any cards? Alice will call them up in order.
It's starting with John Shaw.
Mr. Shaw, the sign man. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor Shevlin, council, staff, my neighbors, and everyone else here tonight. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Imagine for a moment that the constitutional rights of Monrovia residents are being violated. Imagine that your neighbors are living in fear of being assaulted, arrested, or chased across the freeway. Thing is, this isn't hard to imagine. These wrongs have been happening before our very eyes, foisted upon innocent people by federal agents who are undertrained, unidentified, and unaccountable. Most Monrovia residents are not afraid of their neighbors. Rather, we are afraid for our neighbors. In June and August of last year, Mr. Fick's special city manager's reports included information about the city's mission to protect and serve all members of our community. He told us about the California Values Act, SB 54, and how it actually prohibits the Monrovia Police Department from participating in immigration enforcement. He went further in clarifying the city's duty to treat all individuals with dignity and respect. I think this was an important and well-received update. I'm sure that the city's various departments face daily decisions about how to best serve all members of the community while complying with federal immigration laws. There are limits to what we can do as a city, but there are also limits to what we can take as a community. There are limits to what we should accept as human beings, and there are limits to what we should willingly shut our eyes to as citizens of this planet. Our neighboring cities have addressed their residents' concerns in a variety of ways. Smaller towns like Azusa, Alhambra, and Duarte have recently issued statements in just the past few weeks. Larger municipalities like Baldwin Park, Covina, and El Monte publish immigration resources pages on their city websites. And cities like Pasadena, Los Angeles, and 7 other entities have joined the Vasquez-Perdomo versus Nome lawsuit currently before the Central District Court to challenge the constitutionality of certain federal enforcement actions. And there's a lot more. It's time for an update to last year's special reports. The Monrovia community needs to hear from city leadership so we know what the city's responses will be if and when our imagined scenarios are no longer imaginary. Now, I'm no expert on any of this, but here's a few ideas. Prohibit federal immigration operations on any city property. Prohibit the sale, rental, or other use of any city facility or resource by federal agents. Take a stand against warrantless enforcement. Support legislation to prohibit masks on federal agents. Require federal officers to identify themselves and wear body cameras.
John-
Stand against profiling based on locations, jobs, languages, accents, races, ethnicities, or any other unconstitutional
John,
actions.
if you can wrap it up, okay?
Will do. Now, some of these ideas may be preempted by federal law. Some may get pushback from fellow residents and heck, maybe even some of us here in this room. But the time has come. Please lead the way now, before, not after. I'll follow up with emails with some of those links. As a proud second-generation Californian whose grandparents immigrated from Northern Ireland through Ellis Island and then here to the Golden State, I'll end with this Irish blessing. May you have no frost on your spuds, no worms on your cabbage. May your goat give plenty of milk, and if you inherit a donkey, may she have a foal. Amen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sherry Lochner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Lochner, and I'm a resident of Monrovia. I grew up here in Monrovia and Duarte. I am here this evening to continue to advocate for day laborers and other people who are immigrants targeted by ICE. Since the last council meeting on the 3rd of March, where my colleague remembered the names of 52 people who have died, there have been 9 more deaths as a result of ICE actions, including people who have died while in ICE custody. The people who have lost their lives since the last council meeting are Linda Davis, Jairo Garcia Hernandez, Julio Cesar Peña, Pejman Cardenas Najafabadi, Daffy Mikel, Irvin Cruz Nape, Emmanuel Damas, Mohamed Nazir Paktiawao, and Isaías Sanchez Barbosa. This brings the total number of people that we know of who have died since Trump's election to 61 people. These deaths reflect not only the violent enforcement actions by ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, but also instances of cruel negligence at detention centers. The Department of Homeland Security is required by law to release reports after the death of detained people, but there is no time limit to this requirement. Furthermore, the DHS is not required to report on deaths that happened during the arrest and detainment process, which makes it difficult to keep track of just how many people have been injured or killed. I make the following requests of the Monrovia City Council. 1. Continue to pursue obtaining the report investigating the circumstances resulting in the death of Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. 2. Adopt an ordinance declaring Monrovia a sanctuary city. And 3. Continue to work with us to establish a permanent memorial honoring Senor Valdez. If you have no more time or patience to listen to the requests my colleagues and I are making, then your humanity may be in peril. My colleagues and I will not succumb to indifference. We cannot and will not give in to helplessness. That's when dehumanization happens. We all should be deeply worried about state-sanctioned violence. We all should be worried about the death of our democracy. We all should be worried about the violations of human rights that go hand in hand with dehumanization. When state-sanctioned violence and abuse of human rights are tolerated, we are all complicit.
I urge the Monrovia City Council to take a stand against the dehumanization tactics that have resulted in these senseless deaths. You can do this by becoming more proactive in investigating the circumstances resulting in Senor Valdez's death, by enacting a city ordinance declaring the City of Monrovia a sanctuary city, and working with us to establish a memorial. And finally, I would like to share this insight from Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate measure of a person, and I would say a community, is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to address the city council?
Hello. I am here to say that we need more people in Monrovia like all of us. So I think that we need something to help more animals that have been dying of heat exhaustion. Today, lots of animals have passed due to the heat. I suggest that we build homes like log cabins or shelters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wanting to address the city council on items not on the agenda? Okay, not seeing anyone, then we will then proceed. I'll close public comment and we'll proceed then to our reports of city manager and staff. Mr. Feek.
Thank you. To the young man who just spoke, I'd like to just make a quick comment. When you address the city council in public comment, the council's not allowed to respond back and forth. We want to thank you for your comments. But I do want to note out that we have a notable home builder who was clapping for your comments sitting right next to you. So Gary, if we need some help building, anyway, we just want to say thank you very much for your.
And I saw you have, did you put your name on the little blue sheet there that you, could you bring it up and give it to our city clerk so we can have it for the record? And thank you very much.
Yeah.
And again, public comment, we are not able to have a dialogue. We listen, we listen.
But thank you very much,
Thank
Bud. We
you.
appreciate you. Council, if I could, I'd like to just provide a few updates. There's a pretty lengthy directives log as part of the agenda packet, but I'd really like to address a few other key items. First, I just want to share that we're beginning our annual third grade tours. Wild Rose Elementary School will be coming to the community center as well as city facilities this Thursday. We're looking forward to starting our annual program. We have approximately 600 kids, as well as all the parents and teachers and chaperones who come through and get to learn about their government and ask a lot of questions, and we have a lot of fun. And we also want to express appreciation to not only the staff who help coordinate and plan the event, but also council and the many who attend and support the program. I'd like to now speak a little bit about the incident that is probably on everyone's mind, the bear incident. I released a city manager update, a special update earlier this afternoon. But for those who don't know, I'd like to just share a few key facts that were relayed to me through a discussion I had with a senior level executive with Department of Fish and Wildlife. On Saturday morning, when we responded to the call, the incident, a Monrovia resident was walking in the Ridgeside neighborhood, and as she was walking her dog, a bear approached her. I've seen a lot of social media commentary about, what happened. Was a person antagonizing? There's been a lot of rumors out there. But based on the information that was from the Department of Fish and Wildlife who investigated the incident, as well as other incidents, this is what they told us. So the woman was walking her dog. The bear, which did not have the cubs with her at the time. The cubs were houses down underneath the house in a den, which is likely where they were born. The bear approached her, and as she began backing up, she slipped and fell with the dog with her, and the bear took a swipe at her and caused injury to the individual. A neighbor was able to assist, and the bear ran. And the following day, the wildlife officials were able to trap the bear, her cubs, and move them off site. The woman received treatment. It's non-life-threatening injury. She'll be okay. In my phone call today, the wildlife official also had shared that there was an incident in the same neighborhood in June of 2025 where an elderly resident was sitting on his porch at night, and the same bear approached him and took a swipe at him. He was not able to move or escape. He had a caretaker who assisted him at his residence. But the same bear caused injury, a pretty significant injury, and he was treated for his injuries and recovered. They could not locate the bear at that time, but they did collect DNA from the bear. Wildlife officials responded at that time and could not locate her. And so they matched the DNA not only from the bear that they had caught to the incident from Saturday, but it was the same bear through the same DNA from last year. And according to state policy, state officials determined that they would euthanize the bear, which did have 2 very young cubs. The city spent the last couple days since the incident lobbying our local wildlife officials, state wildlife officials. We're certainly grateful that the residents who are injured are recovering. But we lobbied very hard to try to get the bear and her cubs relocated into the Angeles National Forest. We even offered the assistance. But by the time this executive called me this afternoon, the bear had already been euthanized, much to our dismay, disappointment, and quite honestly, anger and frustration. So I'm certain there will be comments and thoughts that the city council has. I know we're all going through kind of emotional roller coaster. We love our bears. We even, reminded them that we have a city mascot. We build statues about our bears. We're even doing a community-wide reading program about a bear. And guess what the book's called? The Bear. So, and I think I think it's a hard decision, and I'm not going to. Actually, I will just say the decision that was made was not our decision. And I think there's a lot of residents right now. I've been receiving lots of emails and text messages even in the course of this meeting, and we're providing as much response and information as we can to people who care deeply and who are feeling a lot of different things. The one thing that I'm going to ask, and I'm going to include in a city manager update, is I think there's people pointing their frustration and their anger at the wrong direction. I've seen posts about this resident who was walking, and how could she have, or why did she? I even had a comment. I saw comments where someone said, "I wish they'd euthanize the dog and the person walking the dog, and not the bear." And I have that email, my city email, and I think that's probably more indicative of the person's frustration. People who live up here care about the bears, but I just want to. I'll do a reminder in this week's update just to remember that we're a community that comes together, and we care deeply about our bears, and we don't have to vilify one another, even when we have differences of opinion. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, but perhaps before I do on this, before I move on to my final item, does council have any questions about the bear incident or anything I can elaborate on at this time?
I have a question. Why so quick? Why the decision so quick? And I understand it's their ultimate decision, but the idea that we are not even given the opportunity for input. I know that you, on your own, provided input, but we are not consulted. It's not discussed with us, and it happened so quickly. I don't understand why there couldn't have been more deliberation as to some options and be a win-win for both the bear and the community. And I don't know if they happen to comment to you as to any of that, but it just does not seem right or fair. Guess there's nothing fair about it. That decision would have been made so quickly, and it just doesn't set right at all. And my mind has been spinning since you informed us, and I know that the 2 cubs went to some type of a rehabilitation center and whatnot, and I know EGADS, we do love our bears, and we like to raise money too and things like that. If there's any chance that wherever it is they took those bears, that they're in need of any type of care or funds or whatever, that we would be able to support them, not just now in this very instance, but getting them reestablished or whatever it it might take, that we can at least be a part of that process.
Have a question. Would you have a
Yeah,
question?
that's okay.
My question, Dylan, concerning this, is there some sort of format that they sent us that says, these are the reasons why we would do such a thing, to put a bear down in this regard? Is there any type of checklist that they went by? Or, because to Becky's point, it just seemed extremely quick, and it's really heartbreaking. It's really, really heartbreaking to see that happen in such a quick time without there being any real discussion or, and I know they don't have to, but anyway, is there any type of a checklist that they gave you? Like, for example, the bear met these requirements and this is why we did it.
They did not provide me with a checklist. In the discussions I had with the official this evening or this afternoon, he explained a little bit about their process. Decisions when there are a human and bear interaction which results in injury are always reviewed by a committee, including like a regional or a district manager with Fish and Wildlife. There's a specific like veterinarian association that they sometimes consult with, and they look at a variety of facts. For example, there was a recent incident in Big Bear where a resident was taking a selfie with the bear in the background, and the bear took a swipe at the resident. They didn't even go look to find that bear. That was the resident's fault. But that was a human injury that they reviewed. In this particular case, what they shared with me multiple times is is in their opinion, you had a bear that was engaging residents, was not being provoked at the time it engaged them. You had a bear that had normalized in a neighborhood, the same neighborhood, and you had 2 human injuries in the span of 9 months. And when, their approach, their policy is they don't want to euthanize bears. But you have a bear that's normalized to these different conditions, and they can't just relocate the bear. This is their words to me. This is not my opinion. This is just what they. So if they relocate the bear and the cubs, likely that the bear is going to return. Likely the bear is going to cause additional trouble. And there's other reasons why they typically don't do that. They don't prefer to do that. I think to the point that the mayor shared, the timelines seemed like it was fast. How did a decision get made this quickly without input from local officials? But I think we can, I think just for the sake of all the questions that we have now, but that we will also have in the near future, I might encourage council to write those down and send them my way. I have some of my own questions that I want to speak to them about on how things like this are handled, or even in how we educate our residents. We do a lot of living with wildlife programs in the community. And so much of the information that they were sharing with us about living with wildlife, it's like, yeah, every resident in Monrovia knows this already. We could teach the class. And I don't think that's the case in every community that they're in. So I think there's still a lot of questions that we need answers to, and I just encourage you to send those my way if you have any.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off of the same comments that have already been made, but it seems that the inability to have input from a local community that is living with bears daily, and the community members that actually know the bear, since the bears up there are known and named, and to have folks maybe in different parts of California that don't know our bears and don't know our community, making those decisions, assuming that they know our community, which in many instances maybe it's the right assumption, but it's an assumption in this case that was wrong. And I think we definitely need to send a letter, in my opinion at least, to the commissioners at CDFW and our governmental agencies in the state to let them know that this was the wrong decision, and that the city that's involved, at least the locals, should have a clear opportunity to make comment and to understand the situation on the ground when they clearly did not. And they made the wrong choice.
I would like to see us contact Assemblyman Harbedian. He was a former council member in a local foothill community as well as local mayor, to see if maybe by legislation we can create an appeals process where there's the ability to appeal, to challenge such a decision, so that there's more local control over the decisions that affect our community with regards to wildlife. Thank you.
And what's really scary is the budget that the Fish and Wildlife has is really, 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 really like almost non-existent, and they are stretched beyond belief. So why not turn to us and ask for, our input? I guess that's the part that's the most insulting, and not to mention the little cubs. And so to what degree you can get information on where the cubs are and how we might be able to assist on that. It does underscore the need, though, that as much as we love our bears, not to feed the bears and get them so acclimated that they feel entitled to interact with humans. But Assemblyman Harder-Beating did have a bill, and it had to do with bears, and unfortunately it didn't get out of committee, but maybe he'd be willing to take another whack at it, another run at it.
The key is to increase local control, have local say in what happens to our local wildlife.
So, at anywho, but our hearts go out to everyone who's very upset about this. It's very upsetting, very upsetting. Okay.
If I could, I know it's it's actually very strange to go from a heavy and emotional topic to one that is actually, exciting, and so we're just going to kind of shift gears as quickly as we can. I'd like to invite Rebecca to come up. I don't like to surprise the council. I thought it'd be nice for Rebecca to surprise the council, and she might ask for a special council member to assist her in the little surprise.
Yes, thank you so much, Dylan. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Today, Councilmember Spicer and I had the honor of joining Los Angeles County Regional Park and Open Space at a Measure A grant award ceremony.
All right.
Together, we celebrated one of the most significant moments in LA County Parks history, as more than $78 million in grant was given out
All right.
to 72 planning projects, to 48 organizations for planning and building. While these open spaces will help create jobs, enhance public safety, and contribute to cleaner, healthy communities, we're so excited that we were honored. This was a very competitive process, and we want to thank the entire team who worked on it, especially Tina Cherry and Heather Gibson. They've worked really hard, and it is my honor, drum roll please, Mr. Spicer, to announce that they awarded us $460,000.
All right.
And this will go to the park planning and design phase.
All right.
Photograph.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right.
If the council recalls, at our last meeting, we had talked about funding of Recreation Park, and we had several outstanding grants. This was one of the grants. So we're really optimistic that this is just a proof of what's to come. Reminder that there's approximately $15 million in outstanding grant applications that we've submitted. So
That's wonderful.
We're hopeful. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
what it'll
wonderful.
take.
Show us
Thanks,
the
Rebecca.
money.
And that's my report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on then to our reports of city council members. Mr. Belden.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So we had, it's like spring is here and the activities are just picking up pace. I had the pleasure to join many of you, I think, and many members in Monrovia, the Read Across Monrovia. That was a few weeks ago. Always a great event. If you haven't participated in the past, please join. Monrovia Read does a great job with many other community organizations to ensure that, I think that they try every classroom in all the elementary schools to have a reader in. And Janet's trying to give me some tips on the exacts. So yeah, you can read to a class and pick a favorite book, or they might provide you one. And it's a great opportunity to meet our youth. And I'm always impressed. We've got some great youth in our community, so they're doing great work. On the Friday after that, I had an opportunity to go to the AQMD showcase. I think a few of you probably saw the invite. I didn't know if it was going to be a great one, but it was actually fun to see all the new toys and tricks out there for the different, either a trash truck or lawn equipment or everything else that is helping to reduce local pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. And there's quite a bit of variety and options out there and a lot of grants and loans or discounts that are offered too. So if any of you have lawn equipment that you're looking to save your hearing and not emit as many pollutants to your own lungs and to your neighbors, there's some opportunities to get like 85% rebate on new, like a leaf blower, a lawnmower, and electrify those and return your gas ones for that. Compost Palooza. I think the mayor and I, and maybe I think a few of you may have also joined us, that happened as well with Food Ed. Great opportunity to just get out there and get some compost for your yard, and also just learn about so many new bugs and the great groups that are growing things in our community and were sharing their produce with us as well. And it was a fun event, even though the wind was kind of going crazy.
Yeah.
There was also, I think that many of you were out at the house party in the park this past Sunday. Great event. I'm sure some of you will have more of a report on that, but fantastic community building as always. And there was this big event that happened in LA called the LA Marathon. Did anyone in here go? Anyone know? Okay. My wife, my partner, and I, we met on the marathon crash ride, which is the bike ride, the night before at 4 a.m. It's a fun ride, but the good news is that the marathon this year, we had about 45 people from Monrovia that ran in the marathon
wow.
and finished the marathon. It's amazing. And actually, there's 2 people in Monrovia here that are legacy runners, which means they've run in every marathon since the LA Marathon was started. So it's more than 40 marathons they've hit. Great accomplishments for them. So kudos. And if anybody wants to start running, there's quite a few clubs here. Snail's Pace is a local club that runs on Monday nights and Wednesday mornings early in the morning. Right near Snail's Pace. It's got snails on trails on Wednesday mornings, but on Monday nights it's at 6 o'clock, right in front of Snail's Pace. There's an Adrenaline Run Club that's on Wednesday nights at Library Park around 6 o'clock as well. And there's a group called TNT that meets right near Canyon Park on Fridays as well. And if you need any details, sometimes they're on their websites or on their social medias, or you can ask me as well. And last thing is just that there's the comprehensive safety plan and the bike master plan that are out for review. The drafts are out. They just came out last Friday. These are some opportunities to help make our city streets safer for all users so that you can walk, bike safely. You can also drive safely. And there's a virtual meeting happening next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Spicer.
I have no report, Mayor.
All right. Dr. Kelly.
You've been reporting on that. Thank you. A couple of things. I wanted to ask Dylan concerning immigration resources. Do we have anything on the website as of now?
We do, but we can certainly look to see if we can enhance it or add more, because resources are always changing, so there
Yes.
is information, but we'll go double check and refresh.
So
I
I'm
made a
wondering
note
if we could connect with the Immigration Resource Center and make sure that we're up to date with supporting the community with information. Secondly, I had an opportunity to meet with MOTAP today and meet with some of the businesses. And, you know, the businesses in our community, a lot of businesses are very concerned. They're very concerned about with the loss of the movie theater. They're not getting the foot traffic. That was a big deal in discussion today. And some were even remarking that they have not seen business this slow in about a year's time, and that was a big theme today, along with the need to see more businesses coming into our city, such as merchants, clothing and those types of things. So I wanted to ask if there's a way, Dylan, that we could put on the agenda for our next city retreat or a city council retreat, this item, so that we can discuss this item and seeing how we as a council could come alongside our businesses in our community in attracting, number one, more businesses into our community that could help increase the revenue of other businesses. That's one of the things. And is there a way that you could check to see what other cities are doing to attract new businesses? I know that there was discussion, a lot of discussion on that. And MOTAB is also going to be discussing ways in which they could partner to figure out give some ideas to us, but I think it'd be a great discussion for council to have. And, okay, and then we have great things happening. Old Town Merchants are excited to be hosting the 9th annual Old Town Wine Walk. Please get your tickets. Please get your tickets. Tickets are available now online, in person at Charlie's House or the Community Center. If you need any assistance purchasing tickets, please contact the Community Center. The event will be held Saturday, April the 11th from 6 to 9. And this event always sells out. So make sure that you get, and it's so much fun. A lot of the merchants, all the merchants, they go out of their way. They have all kinds of wonderful things inside of their store, wonderful dishes that we taste. It's a wonderful event. The whole city comes out. So I want to encourage you guys to support the businesses by getting a ticket. Also, this Saturday, the Old Town Bunny will be here in Library Park, and that's a wonderful event that takes place. There'll be all kind of games and all kinds of events. So it's not just about taking a picture with the bunny, but it's something, there's arts and crafts and activity booths, and the library is going to be hosting a story time. And this event will be held at 10 a.m., from 10 a.m. to 1. So come take a photo, have your child receive a story from one of our wonderful librarians. It's going to be a great event. One City, One Story will be concluding at the end of this month. The citywide program invited everyone to read the same book and come together through conversation, art, nature. Programs were held throughout the month of January to March. Celebrate the finale with a lively community event for all ages. Enjoy information booths from community partners, live performances by local students, interactive activities, raffles, and special community recognition. Stop by to connect with local organizations, celebrate the creativity sparked by this year's citywide read, and enjoy an afternoon of community fun. Free parking will be available at Station Square Park in the Metro Park lot and across the street at Santa Fe Middle School. Consider carpooling, biking, walking, or rideshare. Many programs happening this week at the library. Be sure to check out the library's Instagram or website. Some programs require registration. Do not miss out. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Monrovia is blessed that we have so many active nonprofits that have special events to benefit local charities and scholarships. And one of these is the Knights of Columbus here in Monrovia. And this Friday, this Friday through April 3rd from 5:30 to 7:30 at 130 West Pomona Avenue, Monrovia, the Knights of Columbus have their famous Lenten fish dinners. Their fried fish dinner with shrimp, fries, and coleslaw and bread is $18. Their baked fish with Cajun rice, bread, and coleslaw is $20. Their homemade clam chowder is $6. And I have a really good witness here, both our mayor, Becky Shevlin, and our council member, Larry Spicer.
Grilled cheese.
Yeah, I was going to say they have grilled
They have
cheese and
grilled
tomato
cheese
soup, too.
And tomato soup as well. So this is a picture of a poster, but it just gives you an idea. Yes, it is as good as it looks. It's delicious, and it's running on Fridays through April the 3rd. So I invite you, because it's not just about eating good food, it's about benefiting worthy charities and scholarships right here in Monrovia. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And if you want just coleslaw, you can just get a big plate of coleslaw. Thank you very much. Well, yesterday I had the opportunity of going to visit or actually it was Monday. Yeah, that was yesterday. The Emergency Centralized Response Center, ECRC, and it's located in the Hall of Records. And I went there actually, it was part of my duties on the ECRA, the Homeless Committee, County Homeless Committee, but also, and I don't know, I have to ask them because the presentation, it wasn't supposed to be Monrovia-centric, but the slides that they put had Monrovia several times as a good example for outreach. So hey, it was impressive. But at any rate, the Emergency Centralized Response Center coordinates the operations of 150 outreach teams and other efforts dedicated to helping unsheltered individuals and families across LA County members of the public. LA County, members of the public can reach ECRC by LA HOP. LA HOP's been around for a while. The ECRC is something more recent, and that was really the purpose of going, was to see how they're actually coordinating all this. Because it's not even just they're county-centric, but they are also coordinating outside entities, metros talking about, or they are semi-involved now in addressing homeless situations and programs and things like that. So it's how this ECRC, Emergency Centralized Response Center, is coordinating all of that. It's also supposed to serve as a direct line for electeds and staff. Although I suggested to him, and I said, I didn't think that was very efficient. I said, we have a city manager council arrangement, and I said, you couldn't have all council members across the county calling into ECRC. I said, we would have our, it goes through our city manager or our police chief or whatever. And so they were taking notes. So it's yet to be seen. It's a newer program. It's one that through someone at the county suggested that we try out. It was in the summer, and tried it. It didn't go well. The whole idea, we reported something, and it was a period of like 2.5 weeks. And finally, at the end of the 2.5 weeks, the answer was, well, we didn't find anybody. And I said, thank you very much. You've been very kind, but turned it over to our city staff and our community policing department a long time ago. And so for the outreach. And it's yet to be seen, but this is, in these ECRA meetings, they were talking about this ECRC as being kind of an end game for coordination for homeless services. So we'll see how it goes. We met for about 2 hours, and they used our Pathway Home as an example, which unfortunately is no longer funded. But at any rate, it was interesting, and it's on the 7th floor of the Hall of Records. It's very interesting construction. You would swear you're in a basement because they have the ceiling's very low, and there's all sorts of pipes and air filtering systems and things. It's very, very, and weird down lighting. So at any rate, very strange, but you'll hear more. I also too participated in Monrovia Reads, and I wanted to give a shout out for our event that's coming up May 7th. So All May Reads, it's a wonderful day. You can go on our website, and or I know that Dylan has had information on that. There not going to be a whole lot of tickets available, but you can always donate, always sponsor. And then I had the opportunity, and Tamala was there as well, Dr. Kelly, the San Gabriel Valley Public Affairs Network, and they had a networking event where they had Assemblyman. You were there, did you? You didn't come, you didn't make it. You were going to, yeah. And Mr. Harabedian was there and interacted with the crowd and gave us some updates on some of his legislation and that, and his work in Altadena, and a lot of fire-centric legislation. I had, in talking about the downtown, CBS News, Jasmine Veal. Now, I haven't heard from her. She said she was going to let us know when this little piece came out. She says it's a whole 1 minute and 30 seconds. And so she interviewed a lot of people. So my segment in it, who knows? She said I might get a couple of sound bites in there. But it was all about, she had come out because of the closure of the theater and whatnot, what was going on in Monrovia. Tried to give it as much of a positive spin as possible, but when you're doing the editing cuts, I don't know what's actually going to be shown. And the you talked about too is things we could do. I know they're talking about it at the chamber, and one of their board members. I'm trying to remember his name. At any rate, he had forwarded some information about a program they did at Waikiki and over in Hawaii. And it was interesting, but I think it was more centric. It was in response a lot to do with COVID, but it did still have some good points, and forwarded that on to Dylan to look at as well. And I just wanted to, you wanted to talk about the Immigration Resource Center. We have offered for them to come in the past, and again, I believe they might be coming this time for the coordinating council, because we had a record crowd the last time. We had, I want to say 29 people there, and all these nonprofits and people, and they can get the message out. So I hope that someone from the Immigration Resource Center comes. That's April, the first Monday in April is our next meeting. And happy Passover to all those celebrating Passover that's April 1st to April 9th. We have our spring egg hunt on April 4th. Is that right? Yeah, April 4th, because Easter's on April 5th. And that's over at Recreation Park, so come out for that. And with that, I'm finished. Thank you very much. And under our administrative reports, AR1, it's very quiet in here tonight. And AR1, annual report on the status of the general plan. This is a receive and file item. And Ms. Bermejo is here, our community development director, and she will be presenting for us this evening.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Good evening. I didn't wear green, but I made sure my PowerPoint was green tonight.
Well, you've got a green stripe, yeah, right across.
All green.
Yeah.
So just would like to present to you our annual report of the status of the general plan. This also serves as the 2025 annual progress report. And this is before you. Actually, we come before you every year to present all of our achievements on the status of the general plan. The state law actually requires us to prepare a report that focuses on all the goals and policies we've implemented. The majority of the progress report, though, is on our housing production and our attainment of our regional housing needs location. So tonight's action, as the mayor mentioned, is to receive and file this report so that staff can submit it up to the Department of Housing and Community Development, as well as the Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, formerly known as OPR, Office of Planning and Research. So before we get into the numbers, it's really important to just take a little step back, and we throw around this term RHNA a lot. RHNA stands for Regional Housing Needs Allocation, and what it is it's a housing target that the state mandates and allocates to every jurisdiction, city and county in the state of California over an 8-year planning period. That period for Monrovia and many cities in the state runs between 2021 and 2029. And it's an allocation or a target of housing across all income levels, including above moderate. But the allocation also includes very low, low, and moderate income. And it's the basis for the goals and programs in our housing element. It's what helps us decide what we're going to plan for, zoning, and how we implement our programs. What RENA is not is it's not a mandate that cities actually construct these units, right? And it's not simply measured by talking about projects or just approving projects through an entitlement process. Years ago, it was a simple report that just looked at building activity, and today it's a much bigger snapshot on project application submittals, how long the city takes to process those applications from the time we approve them, permit them, and actually get them built and issue a certificate of occupancy. So the city does their part by planning, implementing policies, but then projects, there's some things that city just can't control, and that is the market. So here's our report card. This is looking at our production in 2025. Again, if you go from right to left, that top number, 1,670, that's the number of housing units that was our RENA target for our current cycle. To date, the city has issued building permits for 1,228 units. That's total units. That's actually a very good number. We have about little over 3.5 years left of this cycle, and we've already achieved about 74% of just unit production. We still have about 442 units to go, but your planning team is we feel like we're going to achieve that, if not exceed it. Looking to the right on the slide, this is the RENA snapshot that's broken down by income category. You can see what stands out is in the above moderate, we've overachieved. We have 183% of our goal. And we do see that there's still a lot of work to be done, right, on those lower income categories. Now, the message that we would like to impart is that when you look at those numbers, we don't want everyone to feel too bad about them. We all still have the goal of obtaining more affordable housing in our community. But when you look at how the state as a whole is attaining their progress, we're not too far off from the overall picture. So this slide shows a snapshot of the state's RENA housing progress for the year 2024. The numbers for 2025 are not in yet. So, but this slide, if we look from the top left category in that box where it says permits by affordability, what we see in that slide is that yellow shading on that graph is showing that overall, over the course of 2019 to 2024, the majority of the housing that is getting produced is in the above moderate. Looking at that category below that top graph, we see some bar graphs, and that's permits issued by jurisdiction. The jurisdictions there are the larger counties and planning areas. You can see that out of the entire state, Los Angeles County is producing the most. And again, the largest area, a type of affordability is in the above moderate area, and that's that yellow piece. So then on the right side of the screen, we see the breakdown of permits in the various income levels. So for 2024, in the very low income, we see that the state as a whole only achieved 3.9%, in the low 10.6%, in the moderate 7.7%, above moderate 24.2%. So I've listed what the Monrovia's percentage of attainment is, and those are based on this year's numbers for last year, I'm sorry. But everyone is struggling to get into those income categories, which is why the state is giving us a lot of new laws to implement and to try to get housing in our state. So next, I just wanted to show you a quick snapshot of just the major permits that have elevated our production. So early on in 2018, that's when the entitlements were approved for some of our largest projects in Station Square. You can see how since 2022, those large, big projects have contributed to the permit totals. But for the last 2 years, so in 2024, the projects have been small, predominantly ADU development. And so for last year, 2025, we produced permit issued on 58 ADUs and 2 single-family homes. So not any multifamily housing, but we did approve some last year, which we are going to see in the pipeline or in the reports for upcoming years. The 701 South Myrtle Avenue specific plan was approved, and we do anticipate seeing permit issuance hopefully by the end of this year, if not before that. And then we are still holding out for the Arroyo project. Last year, towards the end of the year, the city council approved an extension of that entitlement.
Sherry, just sorry, I didn't
Yes,
mean
sir.
to lie.
Oh, sorry, I was in a
just
zone.
question. So I think you just answered, but I just wanted to clarify. So the New York Times pipeline, those are the projects, they haven't been permitted, but they've been
Approved.
approved, right? Yeah.
That's
okay.
right.
So those are great numbers to see coming down the pipe. Great, thanks.
All right. Now, the story is not all about building permits. So we've been tracking total units in all applications since 2021. And you can see these numbers in the various years. Total number of housing units approved. That could be approved by, that's typically approved by the planning division. And then numbers of certificate of occupancies issued per year. So the large number in 2024 is the Alexan project. And so we always look at these numbers. So in 2025, when I see total housing units applications 88, my mind goes, why don't I see total housing units approved 88? The reason why those numbers don't quite match up is because people apply for projects, they don't necessarily go through with them. So we do have a handful that are sitting kind of waiting for funding perhaps, or waiting to find a new architect. ADU production has been a big deal, and we had a housing ADU a target of 282 units. So when the state of California was looking at our housing element, we had a program. City, we really want you to pay close, year to year, pay close attention and monitor your ADU production. We think your goal is a hard goal to meet, and we're proving them wrong. So we've already also are close to 74% of attaining that goal. Last year in 2025, we approved 52 units. We permitted, 58, and we issued 56 certificate of occupancies. But the totals are showing that we're very close to meeting that standard.
Going into 2026 now, are you seeing, are
Yes.
continuing to get those applications? Good.
Yep. So aside from the building permits and keeping the plans moving through our development process, the city council has done hard work, a lot of heavy lifting too, from the time the housing element was adopted. So this is just a quick snapshot. It doesn't include everything, but it includes the highlights of the various zoning changes we've made to facilitate housing, from, removing the CUP requirement a few years ago, and last year, really upgrading our ADU ordinance, creating a website that's entirely dedicated to ADU projects, adopting an inclusionary housing ordinance, adopting a density bonus ordinance, and also adopting the bungalow court ordinance, which, is to really facilitate Monrovia-type housing in Monrovia with incentives. So I'd like to stop here before I move on to just planting some seeds, getting you ready for some planning efforts that are in the pipeline. So I wanted to see, this kind of concludes the annual report, progress report. If you had any questions, if you don't, I'm ready to jump into looking at.
Any question? I had a comment, and it really has to do with SCAG. And I know that at the last meeting, they were talking about the upcoming, the new planning period, Connect SoCal 2050. And they said they were going to be reaching out to the cities. I was just curious if Monrovia has gotten any calls from SCAG.
I haven't received any phone calls yet.
Okay.
We'll stay ready.
Okay.
On a couple of the complexes that are just about to open, do we know when they are going to be opening up?
Yes, Station Square South is looking at this summer. Station Square South is Duarte Road, Magnolia. It's where the Kiss and Drop project is?
This summer. They look like they're ready to go now. Okay.
Yeah,
They're almost.
they're almost ready. We've already issued two phases of their certificates of occupancy, but they're very close to being ready. And then 127 Pomona is also working on their final phased
Yeah.
closeout.
Okay.
So this year, those certificates should be issued.
Since you brought up that project, is the south entrance to the A-line, is that open?
It's not open yet, so that's something that both ourselves, the city's working to coordinate with Metro and the developers. We've worked very careful about that timing because there's also improvements that need to be made on the Metro end.
I have a question about that south entrance. North of Duarte Road, what appears to be a Pick Road extension, is that a public way or is that private?
With the kiss and drop,
On the
is that what
Station
you're
Square
talking
South,
about?
there's an easement, a public easement that facilitates public use of that area.
Okay. Okay. Because I had a security guard tell me that was private property and kicked me out of there when I went to go look at the apartments.
Okay, well, they're under construction, so maybe we can talk offline and how to get you a tour.
Okay, I
If-
just
if
was
I-
checking out what was going on and.
Wait till it's open.
If I could clarify that Peck Road extension from Duarte Road to the north, we abandoned the road, and basically it became part of the property development, but we retained an easement right on the property, knowing that we were going to have the Metro crossing. We also, just for history's sake, we also required the development to pay the cost to acquire, to install, and to build that connection coming south across the tracks. So that was all done at the cost of the development as well.
Okay.
It's been shut down for a while because of the homeless was, walking through there while they were doing their construction. So that's probably the other reason.
Okay. All right, so moving right along. Looking ahead. This is what planners do all day long.
Look ahead.
We look ahead.
That's why I brought up that SoCal Connect thing.
2050. Okay, so we are never done, right? Our focus in the city is always going to be affordable housing and looking at ways to facilitate housing. And so this is a list of our initiatives for 26, 27. Many of them have come from the state. Many of them come as goals directly from the city council. The first one that's shown there is the implementation of Program 1.4. It's actually Program 1.2 and Program 1.4 involving no net loss in support of housing. Staff is going to bring back some information and an implementation strategy for SB 79, as well as updates to an inclusionary housing ordinance and considerations for Station Square East. So I'm gonna-
Sherry, can I ask you, that SB 79 implementation strategy, July 1st, 2026, in that they don't even have the maps yet?
We'll get into that. I have
Oh,
more
okay.
slides beyond this.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Are you guys awake?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Housing element programs 1.2 and 1.4. So these are requirements of our housing element. We're a little past due on these, so these are high priority. We'll be bringing back an ordinance to codify no net loss provisions, and that's basically state law says that if we approve a project on one of our site inventory at a reduced density, we have to make up for it somewhere else. So that ordinance is going to address that. Program 1.4 is bringing back land use policy changes to our zoning code to allow for supportive housing by right in the appropriate locations. Next up was SB 79. I know the city council is very familiar with this, and this is another one of those one-size-fits-all pieces of legislation. This one does become operative on July 1st. It applies to all development within transit areas within that 1/2 mile radius. It allows essentially for increased density, increased height, in areas that's going to be supporting walkable communities accessible to transit. And so there are several options that many cities are in the same kind of place that the city of Monrovia is in. Our team has been talking to a lot of our fellow cities at COG meetings, calling them up, getting an understanding of what they're doing. Some of the options include doing nothing. It's not the Monrovia way. There is an option to adopt an alternative plan. That's, staff has thought about it, but it's the realistic ability to do that is almost humanly impossible. The third option is to look into, do an analysis to determine if we could do a deferral ordinance and take this up in our next housing element. Our team has already done an initial analysis, and we wouldn't qualify for that deferral ordinance. There's an option to adopt an implementing ordinance. Right now, there's a lot of discussion on changes, upcoming changes to that legislation. So many of the cities are feeling that really adopting everything right now is too soon. We would be amending it. From a staff standpoint, we started looking at and thinking about what would Monrovia, where would we find ourselves most vulnerable? And I think historically, we've always used the adoption of specific plans as a planning tool to gain really good design. When SB 79 becomes operative, those tools that we've used are no longer going to be tools for us to use. So staff will be coming back recommending objective design standards, because without clear standards, the design outcomes are going to vary, and they probably will not reflect the community's expectations. I threw these two pictures on this slide, and I think the city council has seen them before in other presentations. So staff will be coming back recommending a phase 1 of doing some objective standards within our transit area, and then also on a citywide approach as multifamily housing has the potential to occur everywhere in the city. We are continuing to evaluate the success of the inclusionary housing ordinance. This was just recently adopted. The council gave staff direction to track how many projects we've approved. This is a slide that shows the number of multifamily housing project inquiries that we've received since this adoption. For the most part, the majority of them are all falling within those planning areas. But again, these are not real projects. We also are committed to bringing back the ordinance for an amendment. And then last but not least, bringing back some considerations for the future of Station Square East. We know Station Square West, that's the area to the west of Myrtle Avenue, is being built. There's a lot of housing interest there. Not much has occurred on the east side. So now's the time to start taking a look at that and, considering where changes may need to be made. So that is another one of our projects that will be coming to you very shortly. And that concludes my presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I just had one about the concern, and I definitely have heard that a lot of folks are talking about cleanup language for SB 79 to address maybe those issues. And it'd be great if, I'm sure you guys are talking about issues, so if there's things that we can talk to our assembly members and our state senators about and to help them queue those up, or when we're at our other meetings with our other fellow folks that say, these are the things we're hearing. Yeah, well, right, that's in April, right? You guys will be there. So I think it'd be helpful to hear what you all are thinking as some ways for Monrovia specifically. You're here, you're seeing it. What can we say that we could do to make even some tweaks that would make it better, other than just saying maybe it's only applies to cities that are like 40,000, like wasn't there some exemption for under 38? Under 30? Yeah. So maybe we just raise it up to 40 and then we don't have to worry about it.
No.
Oh, no, that would be the easy way out, right? Which
Yeah,
is what
it
Higher
is
Being
really-
did
yeah.
to his own city or some of his own city, so.
Yeah. It is really difficult, though, when they don't even have the maps. Yeah. SCAG is responsible for creating the maps, and they can't even make them.
Well, and I feel like there's There's many cities that didn't realize they were going to be included, right? Some people kept saying like, "Oh, your stop doesn't really hit the level,"
Right.
and we like, no, it
Well,
does.
I
So-
guess, yeah, there's a lot of interpretation there, so we'll see. And also the historic preservation, we were led to believe that it covered all the historic resources, and it does not.
yeah.
And so,
Maybe the thing should be pushed off for a year. I don't know.
A lot of good information, Sharon.
Thank you.
well, thank you, thank you. This was for information, and it is to be received. It is hereby received, and it shall be filed.
With ice.
Yeah. And so with that, we don't have any other further business before us this evening. And our next regularly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, April 7th, 7:30 here in these chambers. And so with that, it is now 9:00, and I didn't have, there are no memos. We're not adjourning in the name of anyone, correct? Always nice to, start convene the meetings with babies, but don't like the adjournment part. Yeah, hey, yeah, let's look forward to that. Okay, then we are adjourned at 9:09.
Blondie.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea, Becky. Becky.
What?
You should have did Blondie.
Oh, yeah, I will adjourn, I will adjourn in the name of Blondie. Blondie, the bear. I thought of that earlier, and then I just forgot.
Yeah, I remember that.